Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I will break down WNBA All-Star Weekend, the Skills Challenge, the three-point contest, and of course the All-Star Game. So we'll break that down. We'll talk about everything. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, it's your boy GD back once again with All Things Basketball Podcasts. And this episode I'll be doing will be all about the WNBA. I will be covering All-Star Weekend, and then also I will cover what's ahead as far as the second half of the season and so forth. So now I may have to break it up into 2 episodes. We'll see. Once again, it's producing on the fly, so we'll see how it goes. So, alright, so without any further delay, let's get into it. So, we had All-Star Weekend that just passed for the WNBA. We had Friday in the afternoon. We had the Skills Challenge. And then following that, we had the three-point contest. Let me just say this right quick. Friday afternoon in the summer, maybe not the best idea. Friday evening in the summer, maybe you can do a little better with that. So, in the afternoon, who's watching it in the afternoon? You know, people are still at work, all those sort of things. So, yeah, I didn't understand that thinking as far as that goes. But, nonetheless, the contests were done, and we'll talk about each of them. First up, the Skills Challenge. Skills Challenge, well, they changed it from last season. Last season, it was an individual, but this year they did like a team of 2. What they did was, of course, you have the host team, Team Aces with Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum. And then you had Team Wings with Arika Ogunbowale as well as Sato Sabali. And then you had Team Dream, who had Alyssa Gray and Cheyenne Parker. Then you had Team Liberty with Sabrina Ionescu, as well as Courtney Vandersloot. After the first round, both the Team Liberty as well as Team Aces emerges out of it. So they move on to the final round. And then in the final round, Team Liberties goes first. And then Team Aces would follow, and they pretty much crushed the time because they timed it all. So in the end, Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum prevail. So you have the first set of contests, and it goes to Team Aces. And of course, Las Vegas is the host team, so of course everyone's happy about that. Now we move on to the three-point shootout. Now the three-point shootout, that had 6 players involved, and it went in this order. Destanni Henderson for the Connecticut Sun, followed by Arika Ogunbowale of the Dallas Wings, and then followed that with Kelsey Mitchell of the Indiana Fever, then Sabrina Ionescu, of course, New York Liberty, Sammy Whitcomb of the Seattle Storm, and then the last person is Jackie Young of the home team, the Las Vegas Aces. So, Destanni goes first, and she scores an 18, which normally in a contest like that, that score may hold. She started out pretty cold. It wasn't until she got to about the second rack to where she started kind of heating up. But Destanni Henderson, she scores an 18. So, that's how you start. And then she's followed by Arika Ogunbowale, and she scores a 21. Then Kelsey Mitchell, she fires up a 15. So that puts her in a precarious spot. And then comes Sabrina Ionescu and Sammy Whitcomb. Both of them just obliterated the thing. 26 for Ionescu, and Whitcomb, she had 28. And then also Jackie Young, The last one to go only scores a 15. It seems like with her shot, she has to dribble and shoot, so it was kind of difficult for her in that regard. And then she missed one of the starry ball. I guess that's what they call it. She missed one of those, so who knows what her score could have been if she got that and sank it. So, nonetheless, so in the end, Dejanay, Kelsey, and Jackie Young, they're all eliminated. So, it's on to the second round, and your finalists are Arika Ogunbowale, followed by Sabrina Ionescu, and then Sammy Whitcomb, who had the best score of the round. She went last. So Arika Ogunbowale, she scores 11. She was ice cold. She was one who said add a dribble and she would have shot better, but they're not doing that. Then comes Sabrina Ionescu, who had a pretty good first round. The second round was a thing to behold, guys. She missed her first shot. She went on to sink 20 straight shots. Guys, man, good gracious. And in the end, she ends up sinking 25 of 27 shots with a score of 37 out of a possible perfect score, which is 40. So you're talking about a performance for the ages. Oh, man. Man. Goodness. Yeah, so Sabrina Ionescu with a record-breaking round for either men or women. I'll get into that when we're done with this. So Sabrina Ionescu obliterates the record, and now she's the one ahead, putting major pressure on Sammy Whitcomb to surpass what she did in the first round with the 28. And then after a while, it became pretty much, how we say, a non-factor. So she missed a few early on, and then after that, that was it. So in the end, Sabrina Ionescu, she wins the 3-point shootout. Sabrina Ionescu, man, whew. And it was an amazing performance. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, guys. She really shot it well. And to the people who say, oh, she shot with a smaller ball, so it doesn't matter. I don't care if she shot that thing with a Nerf ball. She sank 25 or 27 shots, man, from long distance, the same distance as the NBA, so miss me with that nonsense. That performance was incredible, any way you slice it. So much so that Steph Curry, while he's on the golf course, he FaceTimes her and congratulates her and so forth. So much now that they challenge each other to a 3-point shootout. They're having fun with it, which, the weekend is a fun weekend, so why not have some fun? And Steph Curry would go the next day on the golf course and sink a hole in one. That's a story for another day. So Sabrina Ionescu, she wins the 3-point contest. Congrats to her. Congrats to, of course, Team Aces as well for winning the skills challenge. But that was a performance I don't think I'll ever see. It was amazing. It was amazing. So all props to Sabrina Ionescu. So with that said, guys, that is your Friday night events. Let us move on to Saturday. Saturday, the official game, which I couldn't watch in real time, but I ended up watching the replay, which was great. There was no commercials or anything. It was wonderful. The game itself, well, let me first go to the roster because I believe I talked about the reserves. I didn't talk about the draft any. Well, we could talk about the draft right quick. So, on July 8th, there was the draft with A'ja Wilson and with Breanna Stewart. So, they begin the draft, and A'ja goes first. Of course, she's going to take her point guard, Chelsea Gray. Breanna Stewart, with her first pick, she picked Brittany Griner. So, the draft kind of fell the way I thought it would for the most part, with A'ja Wilson taking a lot of her teammates, a lot of South Carolina alumni as well. She took also 2 of the Connecticut Suns players, Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. Then for Breanna Stewart, she took her teammates as well and players that she's played with before, like a Jewel Lloyd, of course. Ezzy Magbagor, and even players that she played with overseas, like she played with Brittany Griner overseas. So in amongst the reserves, Breanna Stewart went first, and with her first pick, she took her point guard, Courtney Vandersloot, which opened the door for A'ja Wilson to take her player, and that was Kelsey Plum amongst the reserves. So, and then, it went back and forth, so forth. And then the last player ended up getting picked for A'ja Wilson was Elena Delle Donne. And unfortunately, Elena Delle Donne was unable to play. She's still dealing with the ankle issues. I'll talk about that when I talk about the Mystics in the second half of the season. So her replacement ends up being Ryan Howard, which was fitting because she was tearing it up since she got snubbed. So it was just fitting for her to get the All-Star nod. So you had all three of your Atlanta Dream in the game. So that's how it shook out, guys. Now let's talk about the game itself. The game itself was a little close in the beginning, but actually after the first quarter, Team Breanna was up by a point. And then come the second quarter and the third quarter, they just blew the doors open. At the half, they led by 10, 73-63. And then your final score when everything is said and done, 143-126. So in the game, you had your moments, of course. You had Brittany Griner, of course, putting down a dunk. So, that'll get the folks excited. And, she was doing her thing, talking her stuff. They mic'd her up as well. So just throughout that weekend, because she was there for the Friday festivities as well. It was just nice having her back and involved in All-Star Weekend. And, they asked her about what the players did for her last year and so forth. And she's like, she felt it and, she appreciated it. She's just taking the time to smell the roses, so to speak. Good for her. I was glad to see it. And Friday she was sitting with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. They was just having fun over there. That's what you want to see. It's a fun weekend. It's laid back. Everybody's interacting. Players from other teams and so forth. You want to see all that. So it was a good weekend for that. It was a very good weekend for that. So I talked about the Brittany Griner dunk in the game. Then you had other moments in the game. You had A'ja Wilson. She was cutting up the whole game. And then it was weird because twice in the game you had the ball being stuck. It hit the top of the backboard and got stuck. You could have bet that and made a ton of money if you did a prop bet. But that's another story. So the second time they had A'ja do it. Gave her the broom. Her and Chelsea Gray's over there. Then they break out into the dance and stuff. So, it was cute stuff for the fans and everybody there and so forth. So, you got folks, just play the game, this and that. And I'll just take a line from the movie Stripes. Lighten up, Francis. It's an all-star game. So, just what are we doing here? Nonetheless, you're there to have fun. That's the whole thing. You're there to have fun. Then you got other people, they didn't play any defense. Hello. I mean, you could poke problems with each and every All-Star game if you want to. Even the baseball All-Star game, you can poke holes in that. The fact that you have to take a player from every team. I mean, you could go back and forth about all these All-Star games. Keep it central on basketball. The cry is, they don't play any defense and so forth. I hear you. It seemed like they tried to get in there and defend. But in the end, offense is what excites the fans. Now, ask yourself this. Would you be happy with a 90-88 All-Star game? No, you wouldn't be happy with that. So, I say go ahead. All the 3-point shots, the 4-point shots even, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. I'm not going to kill that. You want to add these extra things to the game? That's no problem. I guess that's my rant there. I'll just leave it at that. So let's just go through each of the players that played in the game. So again, Team Stewart 143, Team Wilson 126. Breanna Stewart didn't score a lot in this game, only 9 points. Didn't shoot it all that great. But I tell you what, guys, she was a distributor of the basketball. 9 assists with 6 rebounds. If you're Breanna Stewart, you'll take that. As long as your team wins, you'll take that. Jewel Lloyd, of course, she ends up being the MVP of the All-Star game. 31 points. She shot everything from three-point range, guys. So that's how you get 31 points. Along with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. So Jewel Lloyd had one heck of a game. And of course, you know, Jewel Lloyd is known as the Gold Mamba. Oh, by the way, Kobe Bryant rubber stamped that name to her. So he has his blessing on that. For everybody who's got their panties in a bunch over that, relax. Sato Sabali, she had a nice game. 19 points for her with 8 rebounds. Nneka Onwumike, she had a quiet game. 6 points, 11 rebounds though, and 5 assists. Brittney Griner had a very nice game. 18 points, along with 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, one of which she got on Kelsey Plum. Oh boy, that was such an emphatic block. And then it was funny because there was a moment in the game with Brittney Griner, that is, where like 4 of the players from Team Wilson came and surrounded her. I was like, what in the world? And she, of course, threw it out to the open person, and they knocked down the shot. That was the end of that. But Brittney Griner had a very good game. On their bench, Napheesa Collier. Man, she had a nice game. 20 points for her, along with 6 rebounds. Sabrina Ionescu doing her thing. She shot everything from 3, 5 of 12 from 3. 18 points for her, as well as a couple of 4-pointers. And she had, oh, by the way, 8 assists as well. Kalia Copper had a nice game. 16 points. Shot it well. 3 rebounds. And then Courtney Vandersloot, Ezzy McBagor, and Kelsey Mitchell. Each of them had 2 points. So quiet games from them. So that is your story as far as Team Stewart goes. For Team Wilson, Asia Wilson with a nice game. 20 points, 5 rebounds. Aaliyah Boston, I thought she was going to have a very nice game. She started off quick with the 6 points. After that, you didn't hear from her. But she did pull down 11 rebounds. Chelsea Gray, bit of a quiet game for her. 5 points, 7 assists though, along with 6 rebounds. Arika Ogunbowale, 18 points. You know she's going to get her points no matter how many shots she put up there. And she put up a lot, guys. Along with 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Jackie Young, quiet game for her. 6 points. Didn't shoot it all that well. 3 rebounds. Then your bench. Kelsey Plum has been on a tear, guys. And she's carried that to the All-Star game. 30 points for her, along with 5 assists. And she nearly... Oh, by the way, I kind of buried the lead with Jewel Lloyd. Those 31 points are the most in a All-Star game, which is surprising. I thought it'd be more, but she got 31. And Kelsey Plum had a chance to break that record, but she was unable to. Ryan Howard with a nice game, replacing Elena Deladon with 16 points, along with 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Cheyenne Parker, her teammate, 14 points, along with 6 rebounds. Shot it well, too. And Alyssa Gray, the other teammate, 10 points. And then it was weird. DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. DeWanna Bonner, 0 points for her. Alyssa Thomas, only 2 points. I guess if you're the coach for Team Stewart, Stephanie White, you're pretty happy because your players didn't exert themselves too much. Nonetheless, quiet game from those two. But Stewie gets her revenge, and on Asia's home court nonetheless. So that is your All-Star game, guys. Some news coming out of All-Star Weekend. A few news items. Dwayne Wade becomes part owner of the Chicago Sky. Dwayne Wade a Chicago native, so the Chicago native now is a part owner of the Chicago Sky. So kudos to him for investing and, putting his money forth to be part of this franchise. He has an affinity for women's basketball. Very much an advocate for it, so he put his money where his mouth is. So I give him all the props for that. We'll see what happens with that. Now, this man's got his money spread all over the place. He's got part ownership here with Chicago Sky. He has part ownership with the Utah Jazz. The man is all over the place there. But nonetheless, he's a part owner now. So congratulations, Dwayne Wade. For next year's All-Star Game, it will be held in Phoenix, Arizona, guys. So the All-Star Game coming to the Valley of the Sun. And the Phoenix Mercury will be the host team. So that should be pretty fun. It'll be pretty hot as well, but that's the way it goes, guys. Phoenix Mercury will host it next year. So that's your bit of news there. The Los Angeles Sparks, they're to release Destanni Henderson, who they signed to a hardship contract. They're going to release her and then activate Layshia Clarendon, because she was out with the foot injury, but now she is healthy now, coming out of the All-Star break. She missed 14 games with the foot injury, so the Sparks will get Clarendon back, and, I'm pretty sure they're happy to have her back, but they had to release Destanni Henderson, so who knows, maybe Destanni can latch on somewhere else before the season ends, but she played well for the Sparks. I thought she played well in the limited time she played there, so listen, she has game, man. She just has to find a spot that's right for her. We'll see what happens with her. But again, we circle back to expansion, having those additional teams. Maybe you don't see a Destanni Henderson bouncing around like that. So we'll see how that goes. So, all right, guys, that is it for All-Star Weekend. So we tie a bow on that. It was a fantastic All-Star Weekend. Again, the fans, everybody was happy with the end product. And Jewel Lloyd, All-Star MVP. She got the nice big heavy trophy as opposed to last year. Kelsey Plum, she got the teacup. But, yeah, so the league did right in that regard. Oh, before I go, Kelsey Plum, speaking of her, she did bring up the issue of tickets for All-Star Game. How the players weren't given tickets for the game. And I'm like, wait a second, what's up with that? And I broke it down actually on social media. Okay, so you have 144 players, right? 22 of those players make the All-Star team. That leaves you with, that's 120 tickets. And if the person want to bring a plus one, 240 tickets in a 12,000 seat arena. Commissioner, can we give your players a ticket at least? I mean, come on. Some people say, they complain about the lack of pay. Now they complain about this. All they do is complain. No, this is the right thing to do. Let the players be allowed to come to the game on a ticket that you give them. I don't see any harm in that. You want to tell me, that's a ticket we could sell. I don't go along with that. Yeah, you got to do right by the players there. Give them a ticket, for crying out loud. And if, they want to bring somebody, fine, give them a second ticket. So at least give them 2 tickets. In a 12,000 seat arena, you can spare it. All right, guys, that is it. The next episode I do, we'll be looking at the second half of the season. And also my mid-season awards. I'll give those out as well. So, all right, guys, once again, I thank you for listening. You know how it goes. All things basketball with GD.com. The website. I'm on all the platforms. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, I'm there. Social media. Got my own little page now. I'm adding people on Facebook. So, I'm everywhere. Anyhow, all right, guys. So, I thank you once again for listening. And please write reviews. Write reviews. You can do it on the website. You can do it on YouTube. Like the videos. Like the comments. I'm putting all the shorts out as well. Like those as well. All right, guys. So, thank you for listening, and we'll talk soon. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast, and take care and be safe.